Welcome to On Time, On Budget. I'm John Shoemaker, author of On Time, On Budget, the book upon which this podcast series is based. In this episode, we're going to focus on project selection, specifically how organizations decide which projects to take on, which to defer, and which to reject. Most organizations have more good ideas than they have people, time, or money. Because of that, success depends not only on how well projects are executed, but on which projects are selected in the first place. Poor project selection can drain resources, distract leadership, and negatively impact the bottom line. Organizations often make predictable mistakes when selecting projects. These include choosing projects no one really cares about, jumping to a solution before fully understanding the problem, selecting initiatives that are already in transition, or approving projects with goals that are simply too ambitious. Organizations that avoid these problems typically rely on a systematic approach to project selection, often referred to as portfolio management. Project selection begins with building a pool of potential projects. In some organizations, this is done using a bottom-up approach, where department heads submit project ideas. These projects tend to be smaller and more operational. In other organizations, senior leadership takes a top-down approach, selecting projects based on strategic priorities. These projects are usually larger and more transformational. Most organizations use a combination of both approaches. One quick way to screen projects is with a tool called a pick chart. As you see in the chart on the screen, the pick chart evaluates projects based on ease of implementation and the value of the results. Projects in the implement quadrant are easy to accomplish and deliver significant benefits. These are high-priority projects that provide the biggest return for the effort involved. Now look at the opposite corner of the chart. Projects in the kill quadrant are difficult to implement and provide little benefit. These are typically the lowest priority projects and should generally be avoided. The remaining projects fall somewhere in between and can be prioritized accordingly. A more structured approach to building the project pool starts with strategic assessment. One example is the Baldrige criteria for performance excellence. Organizations assess themselves against validated business criteria and identify strengths and opportunities for improvement. These opportunities, often called OFIs, become the source of potential projects that are directly aligned with strategic goals. This alignment helps ensure that resources are focused on what truly matters. Once the project pool has been established, the next step is prioritization. Organizations generally use one of two approaches: benefit measurement and weighted scoring. To support these decisions, many organizations rely on benefit measurement methods. As the financial measures appear on the screen, three of the most common are return on investment, payback analysis, and net present value. Return on investment compares discounted benefits to discounted costs and produces a percentage return. Payback analysis looks at how long it takes to recover the initial investment. Net present value deserves a closer look. NPV accounts for the time value of money, which is especially important for large, long-term projects. In the example shown here, the benefit of the project over 3 years is $325,000. The cost is $280,000 for a net benefit of $45,000. But discounting these values by 8% a year over 3 years yields a net benefit of $35,746. In general, projects with a positive NPV should be considered, and those with higher NPVs should receive higher priority. Of course, financial data alone doesn't tell the whole story. As the scoring table appears, weighted scoring models incorporate both financial and non-financial criteria, such as strategic importance, risk, time frame, and resource availability. Each criterion is weighted, projects are scored, and the scores are summed to produce an overall priority ranking. These models are widely used for project selection, hiring decisions, and supplier evaluations. Despite all these tools, real-world project selection isn't always objective. Many organizations still rely on informal methods such as the squeaky wheel, where the loudest voice wins, expert judgment, where credibility replaces data, or sacred cow projects, which no one openly questions. So far, we've been talking about internal projects, but many organizations also perform work for external customers. For these projects, selection often comes down to a bid or no bid decision. As you see in this scoring form, factors such as capacity, expertise, expected benefit, and risk are weighted and combined into a single score. Over time, organizations learn which scores are most likely to lead to successful projects. One final point. In many organizations, project managers are brought in only after a project has already been approved. Whenever possible, involving the project manager early leads to better planning, stronger alignment, and better outcomes. In the next episode, we'll build on this foundation by looking at how projects are formally defined once they've been selected. Thanks for watching the On Time, On Budget podcast. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share it with your team, and drop us a review. If you would like a copy of my book, On Time, On Budget, use the QR code on the screen. It will take you to Amazon, where you can purchase a copy. Until next time, keep managing smarter, not harder.